Alright, Teckos, this is the part two of the adventure of the thing I was doing, which was making these two, have one on one side, one on the other. I'm going to draw the tattoo of it. It could be for you, any of these, connecting in lines, until it has a symbol on one side, symbol on another, so you can see it yourself, kind of build it yourself. But basically, I'm going to have three symbols again. I have a yin yang in between mine too. I'm a fan of the yin yang twins, but anyway, it's going to be like, it's going to have the thing going that way, and then it's going to have, probably it's going to have another yin yang here, you know. And right here, I don't know what to put here yet. But I think it has to do with Lachey's daughters and Josh looking half like Eminem. This was his that I named Shumn, and Lachey's was Success. But first it was called Saxon. And I just added this part in, and I kind of made these all permanent tattoos. But look, we have different points of view, and I mean, these could be. And any time, I'm kind of realizing I can just come up with something, and it's almost like it's just exploding anywhere. And I just think that I have to continue working, and trying things. Anyway, all of these, my idea is to use spatial awareness, and that's basically, like a finger going all over the place, to kind of feel, And when you go through your memories and navigate through the rooms that you went in, which everyone has, like a camera sort of in their mind, where they can go and see, something and kind of touch where they walked to, sort of like, walking and just putting one little piece there. And, basically what all this shit is names of people that I wanted to give names to theirs and give them symbols. But I couldn't find, the quests to do it with. I wanted just to have it where you use a Ouija planchette. And this one was from me using getting a vision. My granny, used to cook me a lot of fried bread and gravy. And anyway, basically the references for these is usually like banzai would have fried bread and gravy kind of repping around here, and it kind of ties off like a huge, it said fried bread and gravy. And then he would see it because it's a certain level and limit. When you draw, there's always the tracing, like you can do a mouth like this, and then you can put a tongue, but then outside of it, it could be facing another way. It could be a lot of things, this could be, in between a toe area here, like a sandal and flip-flop, used. And well, I mean, basically the point is that these little symbols, maybe there isn't really a way to like really do it if that's something stopped me from getting people to do it. So I just wanted to make their own and just make some at least, because there's so many cells in our body and it looks like a cell. And I thought I could just name them. And usually when I keep making these, because it's like when you talk to plants and or little things, usually you'll get a little sound in your ears and it'll go like, zzz, like a little tiny little, it's kind of like when you're driving through the mountains and it's up high and it has that little ringing, but it sounds a little bit different. It sounds more like an electric wave, sort of like when the TV's on for a long time. And fat. But these, are just people in my family. This is my grandma, panties. Paint was some guy I was working with, the fat guy, that I was working with, and I put paint in an exclamation mark. I think that if it were possible to look at it in other ways, you could always realized that there is a further meaning inside, and that if you really zoomed out, from 1,000 feet, or zoomed in, from other points of view, these are really useful symbols. And my dad's it kept saying natural, because I'd play with dirt clods at home, and I had this one dirt clod named Neutral, and I thought that maybe since he was teaching me how to be neutral and in the middle and not bother anyone, and it was supposed to be blue colored, because it zooms in and it's blue colored. But anyway, I thought his name's one was natural, so I just made a circle and put it there, and I kept putting it back, and I'd keep mentioning it, but I always beat around the bush to get these names in. That way it won't be missed, because for some reason we still play catch, and being caught, is a really big episode of Rick and Morty, which you can watch, and you can see how his finger smells, which is naturals, but it's also like you could take the name and the symbol and have it look at these. You can also take it where you're looking at like a corner of a room. Our face is actually kind of made like a corner of a room, because I always draw like that, and then I'll do it like this, and then like this, and then I'll do it like that. And it looks kind of like a nose would be here, upside down. Babia. I mean, I know what all these are, because I felt like I was just doing a print like that with my finger. And it's like I was just poking on each one. Like if I could just point my finger at someone, and it could go through that circle that I just drew, and I could draw a comic with a finger sticking out here, and it would be pointing like this. It would have to actually be 3D. And also, like was one where I kept going back looking at what my cousin was talking about, and my aunt and all that, and there's a little cursor that's named like, and when you say like, it's like a little cursor and it clicks on stuff and it looks cute and lights up. It looks really cool. So I just was this dude that I kissed, the Asian person. Looks like the sun or some kind of open eyeball or something. I don't know what the hell it is. I don't care. R for R was my uncle's. I did all my family first, Tamagotchi was one that I had from my friend Tim Jones I rapped with. And he said his name was Tamagotchi, but it was a Tamagotchi. I was like, well, that's a Tamagotchi, so I guess that would be cool enough. I think that's very cool. He said it was gay, though. But I think that just, we need to evolve and not, really look at it like, what's going to happen. But anyway, not having sex all the time, in the town of sex, in Saxony, in Britain only, the only place where it's had, type of thing. Look at comedy, look at jokes, look at a comedian speaking of sex and about the comedy town. I have all these up here, which I had Dark Legion, D12, Caitlin Sutton, Poison, Kissing the Shadows, and story about how I had, Dust Rain and Dust Rain 2 when I was in school. And, these two people, like, were talking in front of me, and one of them was the Dark Legion guy, because he has the hair that looks just like the Dark Legion dude that I would have drawn. And then the other one was a girl with blonde hair, and it was like perfect streaks going straight down, and they were like talking to each other and liked each other, and I just studied it and 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 kept studying it. And anyway, I just made some symbols out of those because they look prominent in my memories, and I just kind of poked that way, and then it's like you could just poke in every direction, to really go back into those little mole holes, of our lives. Yeah, and these are, some other ones. But I always pick something that I use. It's just like rap, just like spelling. And, you always pick something that helps. These two are Violent J and Shaggy 2 Dope. I put airs for this one because this dude named MC Thunder, he said airs. I thought it would help, and it wouldn't be the same thing. So I always pick something else. A lot of this stuff could be really oblong. Thought I could go like way and then call this way and see how way looks compared to that one, and then call that way and see if it kind of takes some of it, because it could have been called that and looks like it sort of from another distance, and maybe that little ice cream cone or whatever the hell it could be. I mean, just imagine if you had a freaking camera that was like a circle and you could look at someone having sex or just being naked, or partially clothed or just doing what they're normally doing, and it's doing what they are doing, though. And you could just see how someone could say, like, yes, I do have, a face that looks like this and has this here. And I just kind of went through, I did all the Mad TV characters in here. I did a lot of different things that reflected back on me, but I think that everyone probably knows that there's a lot of these things. And I mean, if it's just one piece of me, we probably have freaking millions and millions of these if we're just, a bunch of, this is a RuneScape character. And I worked on him for a long time. I made a story. I was going to write a book. I did. I thought of it, and I made it by thinking of it. Thinking. And, so all of these, are all symbols, and it's supposed to be in the game black and white, and I just copied over by basically rewinding in my mind. I used to be in, like, detention class, and I'd have my own, like a offense. Also we have how this actually is being moved by something if you pause it and see who would want it to be moved. Call this guy Fence. This one is definitely John Edwards because his voice is really annoying and it needs to go in there. But I used to stand there and play black and white while I was sitting there in school because I could just replay what I was doing and like put them in different places, and it was fun. But they have these little symbols that move around, and it has a screen name, that moves, that goes with it, when you play online. Looks really cool, but I wanted to kind of develop it, and since people did develop it and it could be remembered, then that means that actually I am really designing them because they were thought of, but I wouldn't be able to without those people there. I think we all have usernames, though, and, Fuzz Ribbon looks really cool. Looks like a ribbon, but I just pick one word, and it's usually just one little drop of sweat that could come off, and these can be referred to other things, and they explain a lot for you to learn, and I mean, this is just a lot of stuff to learn, and it's better than looking at the same characters to learn something, and it's, it's like taking, the Chinese things and looking at them, or taking the Japanese ones and looking at them, and, just really being able to see it, because, I mean, my room, when I was in my room, had, like little clouds, and we took a sponge and, like, sponged the whole room, using, paint. This pizza that's similar to paint. And paint, there it is. Using paint, And anyway, probably timers, probably the number 115 was probably used. An egg, may not have been used that day because, might have been having breakfast at the, thought of time. Or maybe we were really using it in painting with an egg, if it was metaphorical and probably, sapphopoetic, but not like something or whatever. Anyway, so a lot of these, this one, Mysterio, is supposed to be, my rap artist friends, S to the D's. But it was just, I mean, this is just a little pot thing. It's like a little, all I'm seeing is a little bag here. And it just holds a little money coin, like there's a little Mexican's like, oh, hey, amigo. He's got that little, like you can just put a little coin in his hand and it's like as big as his hand is. It's like the coin is holding his hand. But it said Mysterio, so I just put that one down. I thought that was kind of cool, too. It said it was a mystery. Oh. And that was it, so that was a good idea. But I have them for all kinds of things, and I remembered it, because I did it, and I can just see me rolling it back over, and just how I could just kind of crush, a really, I guess you could say, a brisk glass or something, and kind of remember how that would feel with my finger going over it. Scanchar. And, a lot of them have a lot of names, but you could do this all day and have a huge freaking population. And they could just all be doing stuff that you could do or help you or something. But there's lots of ways to make these little symbol-y things. And, I think we're not on to something. But, it gives you a lot of advice. Zebra is just a dot. And I thought that maybe the zebra now might not have been the zebra I thought it was before, but I did name all of these. And some of them, like, I named like a piece of pizza that I ate like a couple days ago, and just like a feature of it. And I thought that it was more of a person, because I used to have this friend named Leo in school. And, he was like really, really like slow, and he acted like I don't know, he was just slower than everybody else. And it's like everything else that was like items was like who he hangs out with. And it literally was, and I thought it was just, a miracle. There's one dude in school, it's not like going right up to a person, he's like the only one who could just stand on his own. And every other person had to like actually be part of a school and like go to people and stuff. He was the one who like was a little bit, I don't know if he was gay or what, but I think that he was definitely just patient and probably thinking. And definitely, I think that terminology, now that I have explained it, probably may mean being falsely happy. And we can just make a little symbol. And it could be anything, because there's perfect math here. This thing is exploding, because, it's a little piece, but look how accurate and perfect that is. That is your whole you ever look for life purpose and you're like, man, what the hell is my life purpose? And then you see it. Just imagine someone gives you a quest and someone answers to this, and it's that dot that was put right there. And, then we have, exactos, deli, eerie, demon, negative, and it's just whatever the hell I can put. It's like plopping down a little tiny little piece of pancake batter every time you do it. If you can't put anything, dice, K, and dick, that's not even either one of those is meanings or not, or is, or, thumbing, but, that looks like, kind of a rectangle with something going up, but it also could be a simple, maybe one of those Japanese symbols. But someone would have to want these. I think these are probably extremely expensive, valuable. Someone who would want a quest, want to have, some symmetry. I'd probably say an architect would be a good one. Just to find, like the resemblance between 112, 16, and 4 with a triangle next to it the exact way that I absolutely drew it at just that time. And I think that's how it should be, is it should be at least one time, where that is 100% something valuable for someone to use. And we have the coin diary, about, I just made this up now, but I could say it. I could say the coin diary is about a guy who had one coin on his hand and looked at the number 1, 2, and 3, and then had his hand out, and it had 3 little coins here, and it said few, which could mean like many, instead of one coin being a few, if three, was like something that led up from 1, 2, and 3, and 1, and you have 1, 2, and a couple, but you don't have 1, 1, 1, when you have 3 coins in your hand. And if you had just one coin, because it looks like mini, or mini cells or something, maybe they would become really big eyeballs, or maybe onigiri in Japan, just kind of like facing us in a direction. Or maybe just a tired little wrinkle. Or maybe something an amphibian would have in his eye that wouldn't be something that's that bad. Coin dairy. It's not diary. And just little things, back in the old days, the Nords used to just sit back and drink lots of beer and come up with stories, and they have a little timeline, and they, name what something is, during a certain time, and then they would, it's kind of like drinking beer, and then they'd take a sip, and then, kind of pour somebody else a beer that's this exact same water level as that one, or at least tried to. And then they just kind of name, like, oh, that was a person named, Pillow Man, and he was, really amazing, and, built ships in the Viking times, and it was really cool. So you could call something Pillow Man, and just, you could even come over here and make Pillow Man if you wanted to, or whatever. You could just do it that way, Pillow Man. Pillow Man. And there it is, and it's just a little story, but it's, if you don't have identification at all, then you would just have a circle, but then it starts to get technical, because if you just had circles for all of them, then you would just be answering an answer without an answer to the answer, which was a question, which wouldn't really do much good. But anyway, I just, I remember these really well, but I think I could make, probably not like an army, because it might be dangerous, but maybe if I could just kind of have a sense of presence, and maybe it could feel really cool, that would be nice. But yeah, you could just be a little kid and just kind of play with this stuff. And just imagine if I just changed someone's life just by poking something a couple of times, and how that would infect someone, and how that would, affect, a person, at that time. And really, when you watch those videos with cars going down the road, and somebody can like go like that and blow up a car, that is very realistic. And I just don't think that it's right, to just want to destroy things by using facial expressions, and especially, the Jesus. It's like, and then he just like blows up 1,000 freaking, tons of napalm, and blows up a freaking bridge in Iran because, they had some kind of mistake with the Muslim and the Jelly Moha name resemblance, or just something like that. And it's like, let me give you a present, and you won't see it, and, just things like that would be a problem if we only had one thing that is just answering. You need to have usernames. And if there really is just a connection between us, I really doubt it at this point. So I think this will help, give mine familiars to actually talk to, so he has like friends and shit he can talk to. And maybe it's really small of a thing, but we're living in a freaking black area galaxy, that is huge with lots of planets. I think each one of these also wanted to be a planet, probably, at some point. Probably is experiencing it, But yeah, I made this page. I have this is about 900, I think. It's almost 1,000. Might be over 1,000 now. Probably like 1,100 or 1,200. All of these, if somebody was waiting, and even if it was a piece of a leaf or just a, a little identifiable thing, trident. I mean, imagine how hard, like, if you looked at a piece of gum, and I mean, just looking at trident, I mean, imagine if trident, made me go to the gas station and buy it and was like trying to like dent me, or, maybe trident, really has its own purpose being exactly in this room at this exact point, and might even, invent something cool, you know. But that's kind of the point, is you want to name like piece of air, or just, that hair right there, me grabbing it here. All of those things have these already. So maybe that's why it's also a fiction book or nonfiction or whatever. But I think that, everything has a name that can be sensed, because you have to travel from one thing to the next, And, I mean, so realizing that, kind of helps when, my whole life I didn't get to do that. Thought that maybe I was alone. I needed to expand this stuff, because But one thing you'll kind of feel, I felt it when I was 2 years old, laying in bed when my mom and dad left to my left, I think. Or, I don't know, just different times I was thinking. But anyway, yeah, it's supposed to have these little pokies that happens. But you'll see like little dots in your view, and it's just like the little cells of air in front of you like that. It's like constantly doing this, like when you're just looking at stuff normally. And it's just little air and little cells moving around in your eyeball, basically. And it kind of has a little humming noise. A small little electrical current is there for sure. And it is more pronounced with more of these. And I think that's, very, very useful. And I don't think it's top secret that, these are still circles. And I mean, if we had plant cells, you know, you know, and I mean, I can see that in Agarrio, just damn going around, as one of those little blobs that can hit another blob and then it makes another one easily, you know. But if we had plant cells, is what people use right now to secretly talk, you know. Because there's that little shadow where you can't really see anything. And then there's that little period. I mean, just, you have to laugh and talk about something else in order to talk about things that you would be working on, I think. And that way, that one just reminded me of this dude that I went to school with, and